Hi, I'm Gojenn, also known as Jennifer. This is my second episode of the Gojenn podcast. And what I'm hoping to do with this is give you my own unique perspective on crochet, knitting, sewing, dyeing, D-Y-E-I-N-G. Please, let's keep it upbeat. This is my second episode. The first one I was not able to edit to make myself happy, so I really didn't promote it. This episode I am planning to promote and post it on the internets just about everywhere. So without further discussion, the first thing I want to talk about is WIPs, works in progress. And last week I had some works in progress that I really haven't worked that much more on this week. Sad to say. But you'll see why. You'll see why. This is my After the Rain sweater by Heidi Kermeyer. It is being knit on Malabrigo DK weight yarn, and this is the Sariza colorway, which is the luscious, it looks like you're getting the right color. It's a tonal deep red, and it is a top-down raglan style sweater. This is my first knit sweater, and I just put the sleeves on waist yarn so that I can now go around and around on the body. That's basically where I was last week, and this will get more love very soon. In addition to that WIP, I have been working on my Sweet Eleanor scarf, which this week it looks much more like the photo on the pattern. The pattern is by Quince Tart, and this is some Knit Picks Hawthorne in the Laurelhurst colorway. I am really liking it. Last week I hadn't gotten far enough for the pattern of the stitches to really show, but it is coming along. It is very easy to do, very mindless. I'm able to, this has been what I've taken to work and crocheted on my lunch hour. And I'm really excited about it. This is the yarn that disgusted me quite a bit. It is Knit Picks, and I ordered them two skeins at the same time. They came in at the same time. Can you see that they are not hardly even close? This skein, sorry to jiggle, has a lot more teal and deep green. This one not. This has more brown. This has some brown, but this has a lot more brown. So I am alternating the two skeins every other row so that when I switch skeins it's not as jarring. They'll just be worked in together. It's going to be a nice length, and I like it. I am wearing my cool sweatshirt today. I'm bi-craftual. I knit and crochet, so I'm bi-stitchual. So that is it for my WIPs, works in progress. I do have a blanket well, I have two blankets that I'm working on right now that are just going to be ongoing long-term projects. Of one is the Modern Blanket of Flowers, and the pattern is by Julie Yeager. That's crocheted, and I'm using sock yarn scraps for that. I didn't make any progress on that this week. And I'm also making a sock yarn square blanket. I listened to Minerva Turkey Knits podcast, and she makes it sound so much fun. I tried to knit one of the squares, and it frustrated me so thoroughly that I said, no, not going to happen. However, I then decided to use the Babette square pattern. And I've made several Afghans using the Babette pattern by Kathy Merrick's. I love it. It's not symmetrical, which normally my brain wouldn't like that, but it really does. And so these are just made from scraps of sock yarn. They're running right about 50 grams per square. And I know crochet takes up more yarn, uses more yarn than knitting. This top one here is a dark green, dark forest green. I have no idea where that yarn came from. It was just in the bottom of my basket, so I used it. This is some yarn I dyed myself using Kool-Aid. I will hopefully have some dyeing to talk about pretty soon here, because I need to dye some more yarn. This one, Minerva Turkey calls a Frankenstein square, and that's because it starts off with one kind of yarn, and when that runs out you use another kind of yarn, and when that runs out you use another kind of yarn. So once all of these are assembled into a blanket, it's just going to be so cool. And so 5 squares this week. I got carried away. This pattern is very, very easy. It's just double crochet around and around, and it is very mindless crocheting, and I really like it. I'm very happy with this, satisfied. 2 thumbs up. Also, I talked a little bit in the first episode that I play the Harry Potter Knitting and Crochet House Cup, and I play in the Nerdopolis threads on Ravelry. And what they are is you get a prompt, so many prompts per month, and then you make your crafting fit the prompt. So, for example, I'd been wanting to make a hexapuff, which is, they're all over Ravelry. They're small knitted hexagons that have a little stuffing, and then you join them all together and make a blanket. Well, I know I'm not going to do that. I'm not interested in doing that. It doesn't float my boat. What I did think I would do, because I decided I was going to make the crochet version, which is an apiary puff. The pattern's on Ravelry. I was going to do that, so I wanted to make a hexagonal something, and lazily enough, I grabbed the first yarn that came to my hand, which was some worsted weight, and it was the Bernat Mosaic. It's a piece of a skein I had in my stash. So I decided to make that. I hope you can see it good. It came out enormous. I did not mean for it to be that big, but I think it's going to be a little pillow for something, or maybe a pin cushion for sewing. Well, something. Hat. But just to give you an example, the Nerdopolis prompt was to celebrate a villain in some kind of nerdery. So I immediately thought of Darth Vader because not that many villains have their own origin stories and their own theme music and are voiced by James Earl Jones and are massive and just fabulous. I went to see Star Wars when it first came out at the movies. Yeah, that was back when we drove our Fred Flintstone cars to the movies. Yeah, had to hand crank the movie to get it. So anyway, I decided I would use the hexagonal shape of the apiary puff. Can you tell that's a hexagon? I'm sorry. To represent Darth Vader's TIE fighter that he flew in Star Wars. Because it was very significant for me at the end of the first Star Wars. You see Darth Vader's little TIE fighter ship get hit by a blast and it goes spiraling off into space. So I was so excited I thought he was dead. Ha! Imagine my surprise when I stood in line to go see the next Star Wars. And of course, I was just an infant then, not really. I was old enough to drive to see Star Wars. And it was really good. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. It was wonderful, wonderful. Okay, that is my finished objects. The 5 blanket square sock yarn squares and my enormous puff, hexapuff, apiary puff. This is stuffed with a little bit of fiber fill to give it some body. So that's why I'm sorry I've sat there and played with that so very much. Stash enhancement is the next topic. And I have found that on some of the podcasts that I watch, because I love podcasts, which is why I'm doing this, because I want to be part of the community. And I want to bring you into my home just like I feel the other podcasters bring me into theirs. So I want you to be comfortable. They sometimes call it enabling. I'm not enabling you. I'm not going to send you any cash to go buy yarn. I am telling you how I have enhanced my stash this week. And I think it's a great idea if you do too. The first thing I have is from Gnome Acres. I love her. This is some hand-dyed Gnome Acres 100% superwash merino. And it is worsted weight. The name of it is Lucky You, E-W-E. Oh, so cute. I think this is going to be a hat. Isn't that just beautiful? Wouldn't that? Oh, no matter what you made with this, well, it's beautiful right there. So it'd be beautiful if you just balled it up and laid it on the floor. It's gorgeous. The greens, deep greens and yellows. I seem to be on a green kick right now. Go figure. And while I was at Gnome Acres, I could not resist one of her bags. This is a nice canvas bag, and it says on the front, Gnome Acres, breaking yarn diet since 2010. And it is so cute. On the back are yarn diet rules. Like the first one is, life's too short to use acrylic. So use the real stuff. Acrylic is like artificial sweetener. Just go for the good stuff. And I'm thrilled with this bag. I like a good canvas tote bag. You can put, or I can put, a project bag and my wallet and maybe my sunglasses and a sandwich and a soda, and get all kinds of things in this bag. So when I saw it, I had to have it. My daughter knows very well that I am a bag addict. Hello, my name is Jennifer, and I am addicted to bags. It could be a lot worse, right? I don't smoke, I don't drink, so bags it is. And I'm very happy with that. Also, stash enhancement this week. Look. This came from Simply Socks. It's their Tainted Love Valentine kit. And I got this for myself so I can surprise me on Valentine's Day with something I really want. Because my husband and I will go out to dinner and it'll be nice. But hey, no yarn. So this will be my special Valentine to me. And also, it'll be a surprise too when I open it because I don't remember what's in there. I think there's a mug and some chocolate. Also, I got a notification that my Desert Vista Dye Works yarn is on the way. It has been shipped. So I'm interested to see that. It's been a while since I ordered it, which is fine. I'm not waiting on it. You know, I want it now, but it hasn't been making me really crazy. And that is on its way, so I should have that to show you next week. It's one of the Desert Vista Zombody. So it's got some zombie in it and some color in it, and I'm excited to get that. Okay, that's about it for my yarn for the week. This week I plan on working much more on my sweater and my Sweet Eleanor scarf. That has to be done for the Harry Potter House Cup. That has to be done by February 15th. So that will be finished by February 15th. If there are imaginary points involved, I can work on the deadline, which it is really coming along, and it's a joy to crochet. So that makes life better. And as far as books go, I finished listening to Altered Carbon by Richard Morgan, and that was the Takashi Kovacs story in the future, science fiction. I liked the resolution of the story. It was definitely a noir story, very much like a Blade Runner kind of thing. So I enjoyed that, and the resolution was good. And so after that, I started reading Skin Tight by Carl Hiaasen, Hiaasen, I think. I may be been wrong before. If you've never read any of his books about Florida, they're just wonderful. They're good stories. He makes fun of tourists. He makes fun of lawyers and doctors and rednecks and people who don't value the environment. Skin Tight is about a retired investigator, and someone has sent a hitman after him. So he takes care of him by skewering him with a swordfish mounted on the wall, and he stabs him. That was pretty good. And I'm not giving away anything because that happens in the first chapter, but it is hilarious. It's a funny detective story set in Miami. I really like it. And I am reading also Dark Monk by Oliver Potts. Not sure how to pronounce that. It's German. And that is the second in the Hangman's Daughter series. And those are set in Bavaria around the time of the Crusades. and it's really interesting to see the things, the customs of the time. And the hangman was considered an outcast, not allowed to be a citizen of the town, but very, very useful, because in addition to being the executioner for the town, he is very good at using his herbs to be a healer and things like that. And his daughter, Magdalena, she is a very, very spunky girl. I like her. And then just a few words about what I'm hoping to do with the podcast. I was listening to Elizabeth Green Musselman's podcast last night while I was crocheting, and she's starting a new venture, a new business, and I'm envious, and she's talking about branding and things like that. So these are things I need to consider as I start this podcast venture. I want, the thing I enjoy the most about podcasts is that I feel like I am right there with the podcaster, sitting on the sofa across from them while we craft. I am not talented enough to craft while I do this. I could skein yarn. That's what I've had the idea. I could take yarn off a skein and put it into a ball or a cake while I podcast, but I'm not there yet. So I just want you to feel comfortable. I want you to feel like you're in my room, sitting here in the chair across from me. Put your feet up, have a beverage of your choice. Let's talk about knitting and crochet. We'll talk about some of the things that are on Ravelry, because I was not the crafter I am today until I found Ravelry. It has changed the way I craft, the reason I craft, the way I craft. I couldn't do what I do without it today. So, that is this week's podcast. I plan to promote this a little bit, announce the new podcast. So I apologize if you feel like I'm overdoing it, because I'm going to go to Twitter and I'm going to go to Instagram, Ravelry, to promote it, because I want viewers. I want people to come and tell me what you want me to talk about. How has crafting changed your life? Would you be who you are today without it? I sure wouldn't be. So, come back. We'll be setting up a Ravelry group, gojenn podcast. And it's, I'm gojenn on Instagram and Ravelry. And on Twitter, I'm gojennjb. And I can't think of anything else right now. But I will be, I do have a website that I haven't really done anything with yet. It's gojenn, GOJENN.net. And that's going to be the home of the podcast. Show notes. I will try to link to things that I talked about, the yarns, the patterns, and things like that. So, please come back next week. Tell your friends. Subscribe. Please subscribe. Please like. Click the little thumbs up. Because that'll make me happy. That's why. So, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.